law enforcement officers. Take a look.
Vous voyez, entre 200 et 300 000 euros par bus. Enfin, je précise que nous avons déjà fait l'objet d'attaques. Il y a déjà 3 bus qui ont été brûlés dans la nuit de mercredi à jeudi, plus une rame entière de tram. Alors là, la facture est beaucoup plus élevée, hein, donc on était déjà, là on va faire chiffrer, hein, vous me permettrez de réserver un peu ma réponse, mais on est déjà en tout, on va dire sur 2 nuits, au moins à 7 ou 8 millions d'euros de dégâts.
The unrest stems from the killing of 17-year-old Nahel, reigniting deep-seated concerns about policing and racial profiling in France's low-income and multi-ethnic suburbs. Nahel is scheduled to be laid to rest in a ceremony today, as confirmed by the mayor of Monterrey, the Paris suburb where he resided and lost his life. In her first media interview since the tragic shooting, Moenia, the mother of Nahel, spoke to France 5 television, expressing her sentiments. She said, quote, "I do not hold the entire police force accountable. My blame is directed towards one individual, the person who took my son's life." Monia further elaborated, expressing her belief that the 38-year-old officer who was formally charged with voluntary manslaughter on Thursday acted with prejudiced intentions. She claimed that the officer saw Nahel's Arab identity and callously made the decision to end his life. Interior Minister Darmanin has deployed a substantial force of 45,000 officers, including elite units from both the police and the parliamentary gendarmerie, highlighting the crucial hours ahead in containing the situation. Addressing the issue of underage rioters, President Macron has called upon parents to assume responsibility for their actions. He revealed that 1/3 of the rioters were young or very young, and the president emphasized the responsibility of parents in ensuring that their children stay at home, stating that it's not the state's duty to act on their behalf.
Enfin, les plateformes et les réseaux sociaux jouent un rôle considérable dans les mouvements des derniers jours. Nous avons vu sur plusieurs d'entre elles, Snapchat, TikTok et plusieurs autres, à la fois l'organisation de rassemblements violents se faire, mais une forme de mimétisme de la violence. Ce qui, chez les plus jeunes, conduit à une forme de sortie du réel. Et on a le sentiment parfois que certains d'entre eux vivent dans la rue les jeux vidéo qui les ont intoxiqués. Là aussi.
And the latest developments on President Biden's student loan forgiveness policy. Following the High Court's rejection of the president's executive power on loan forgiveness, President Biden addressed the nation, acknowledging the need to reevaluate his plan. Take a look.
I believe the court's decision to strike down my student debt relief program was a mistake, was wrong.
Now, President Biden expressed his disagreement with the court's decision, considering it a mistake. He pledged to continue fighting for borrowers, especially those in economically vulnerable positions. Instead of relying on the COVID emergency provisions, the Department of Education will utilize the provisions of a different law.
So we need to find a new way, and we're moving as fast as we can. First, I'm announcing today a new path consistent with today's ruling to provide student debt relief to as many borrowers as possible, as quickly as possible. We will ground this new approach in a different law than my original plan, the so-called Higher Education Act. That will allow Secretary Cardona, who's with me today, to compromise, waive, or release loans under certain circumstances.
However, specific details regarding the amount of debt and eligibility criteria are yet to be determined, indicating that more time will be required to finalize the plan. President Biden's response to the court's decision was met with criticism, with some accusing him of giving false hope.
Mr. President, why did you give millions of borrowers false hope? You've doubted your own authority here in the past.
I didn't give any false hope. The question was whether or not I would do even more than was requested. What I did, I thought was appropriate and was able to be done and would get done. I didn't give borrowers false hope, but the Republicans snatched away the hope that they were given, and it's real. real hope. Thank you.
The promise of financial relief played a significant role in President Biden's appeal to younger voters. His approval rating among voters under 35 rose from 36% in August before the student loan forgiveness announcement to 51% this month. Now, for Republicans, this court decision marks another victory, influenced by the legacy of 3 Trump-appointed justices on the Supreme Court. House Speaker McCarthy expressed his satisfaction, stating that the majority of Americans without student loans will no longer be burdened with paying for those who have them. In response, to the court ruling, Senator Tim Scott shared a video.
Joe Biden wants you to pay off the student loans of lawyers and professors. I want to strengthen vocational education and apprenticeships. We need more welders, carpenters, and electricians. These are the jobs that built America.
If the U.S. Supreme Court had not overruled President Biden's program to cancel billions of dollars in student debt, Satra Taylor, who borrowed $40,000 to complete her studies, could have seen that amount reduced by half.
So I think this decision today is the wrong decision. $10,000 is a huge deal to a lot of people. You know, the repayments have been paused during the pandemic. I was able to move into a 1-bedroom apartment. I was in a 400 square foot studio, and now I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment because I haven't been having to pay these loans. So
I think that would be unfair to take away the advantage when it comes to race, because as we all know that it's not really while there has been progress when it comes to alleviating racism from our institutions, there still is a lot of racism when it comes to the selection process.
A major setback for UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as the High Court delivered a significant blow to his plans regarding asylum seekers. In a ruling, the court declared that the government's proposal to send asylum seekers to Rwanda as illegal, highlighting concerns over their safety and the risk of inhumane treatment. This decision comes as a blow to Sunak's government, which has been determined to reduce the number of migrants arriving in the UK via small boats. With Love and Season reporting from London, let's now delve deeper into the details of this ruling and explore its wide-ranging implications. Love Ann.
The UK High Court has dealt a major setback to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's plans to send asylum seekers to Rwanda by ruling the move as illegal. The court found that Rwanda could not be considered a safe third country, meaning that there is a real risk that asylum seekers sent there would be returned to their home countries where they face persecution or other inhumane treatment.
By a majority, this court allows the appeal on the issue of whether Rwanda is a safe third country. It unanimously dismisses the other grounds, is that the deficiencies in the asylum system in Rwanda are such that there are substantial grounds for believing that there is a real risk that persons sent to Rwanda will be returned to their home countries where they faced persecution or other inhumane treatment when in fact they have a good claim for asylum. In that sense, Rwanda is not a safe third country.
The ruling is a blow to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservative government, which has vowed to cut the number of migrants arriving in the UK on small boats.
We will detain those who come here illegally and then remove them in weeks, either to their own country if it is safe to do so, or to a safe third country like Rwanda. And once you are removed, you will be banned, as you are in America and Australia, from ever re-entering our country.
The British and Rwandan governments agreed more than a year ago that some migrants arriving in the UK as stowaways or in small boats would be sent to Rwanda, where their asylum claims would be processed.
De toute façon, nous, on est sûr et certain que le pays est sécurisé. On va examiner toute la copie du jugement en détail et voir sur quoi s'est basé le juge pour arriver à cette conclusion. Et on est sûr de prouver le contraire.
The court is unanimous in accepting that the assurances given by the Rwandan government were made in good faith and were intended to address any defects in the asylum process. However, the majority believes that the evidence does not establish that the necessary changes had by then been reliably effected, or would have been at the time of the proposed removals. In consequence, Sending anyone to Rwanda would constitute a breach of Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which Parliament has required the government to comply with.
Those granted asylum would stay in the East African country rather than return to Britain. The proposal was considered to be hugely controversial, with the human rights group arguing that it is immoral and inhumane to send people to a country where they don't want to live in. They also cite Rwanda's poor human rights record, including allegations of torture and killings of government opponents.
Yeah, so our clients were very scared of being sent to Rwanda, a country they know nothing about, most have never been to, some have never heard of. And they thought they'd reached protection and safety in the UK after a long and grueling journey. And so they were very scared. They'll be relieved that that's not going to happen, but also they've been through a lot of uncertainty over the last year, and that's just compounded the trauma that they've experienced.
So there were a number of cases brought today, and we represent Asylum Seed, which is a charity that deals with individual asylum seekers. And our case was arguing that the procedure adopted by the Home Office by which to send individuals to Rwanda was unlawful because it was procedurally unfair. It was too short, it didn't allow enough time for individuals to make representations, and it didn't allow for access to justice.
In response to the court's ruling, the government has announced its intention to appeal the judgment at the Supreme Court, prolonging the legal battle over this contentious issue.
A Court of Appeal judgment. We've made it clear that we're seeking permission to appeal it, and we will await the outcome of the next level in the process and the next decision from the courts. So it is premature, frankly, to assume that this is the end of the policy.
Reporting from London, United Kingdom, this is Love and Season. Stay alert, for we live in extraordinary times.
As the U.S. approaches one of America's longest holiday weekends, it's not just fireworks lighting up the sky. Millions of Americans are gearing up to hit the road in record-breaking numbers this Independence Day. Let's join our correspondent Anna Kui as she dives into the details of this year's highly anticipated travel surge. Anna.
While COVID restrictions have become a thing of the past, travel demand has continued to rise. This Independence Day weekend travel is projected to set a new record, with over 50 million Americans planning to hit the road, according to AAA. According to the report, consumers are not cutting back on travel this summer despite the limited inventory and higher prices.
It's good. I mean, we just started our journey, but we're going to our friend's house in Connecticut, gonna get out of the city. It's been, they're gassing us out. It's too smoky here, so gonna go get some fresh air in rural Connecticut. Enjoy the space. It's fun. I mean, I like the hustle and bustle. I think there's opportunity to get stressed out, but our spirits are high. We're excited about the long weekend, so nothing can faze us. We're in an unshakably good mood. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, it is busy because Missouri was a little nicer than this. It is busy. It is like Mumbai. I'm from India, so it's like my city, Delhi. So this is like that. Yeah, it is busier than that.
A new record of 43.2 million people will drive to their destinations this long weekend, an increase of 2.4% compared to 2022, and 4% higher than pre-pandemic record in 2019. And that's probably thanks to gas prices being well below what they were last year. The national average of all U.S. grades gas price currently in June is $3.68 compared to $5.03 during the same time last year, according to government data. In addition, the car rental industry has also improved since the pandemic. Inventory has increased and rental rates are down slightly from 2022. At the same time, despite high ticket prices, AAA also projects air travel to set a new record, stating 4.17 million Americans will fly to their destinations this holiday weekend. That is an increase of 11.2% over 2022 and 6.6% over 2019.
I would definitely recommend getting here early. Absolutely. That's why I'm here at 5 a.m. Trying to beat the crowds and try to get out of Boston early.
Yeah, I mean, it's just busy and everyone's checking a bag. It looks like, I don't know, I always try to do a bag and a carry-on, but people are bringing more stuff, which is, I think will take a while. Yeah, it's crowded, super crowded.
Very strong for the last few weeks, like I said. Yesterday was one of our strongest days, and leading up to the holidays, it will stay that way. We've seen numbers like this since April vacation, and we've seen these numbers during Memorial Weekend, but it's going to be consistent now that the summer started. We'll see these numbers strong, 140,000 passengers a day coming in and out of Logan, so it's strong.
Over 3 million people will use other means of transportation to travel, including by bus, cruise, or train over the long weekend, and it's expected to have a 24% increase over last year, but is not expected to surpass pre-pandemic records. According to AAA, July 4th holiday travel this year is a 5-day period from Friday, June 30 to Tuesday, July 4, with Friday being expected to be the busiest day on the roads.
Well, whether you plan to drive or fly out for the holiday, be safe and enjoy this July 4th weekend. In Las Vegas, Anna Kui, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Thank you, Anna. After nearly 18 years of defying licensing regulations, a Hong Kong radio station that has been airing pro-democracy shows held its final broadcast today. Take a look.
18年，今時今日，香港嘅政治係斷崖式轉變。你如果再揾嘉賓上嚟呢，未必有嘉賓會能夠上嚟暢所欲言，因為好多紅線。所以基於呢個考慮，咁又資源咁缺乏，迫於無奈。 係停止廣播，資源有限啦。
Now, Citizens Radio, founded by veteran activist Chiang Kai-shek in 2005, has been a symbol of civil disobedience against Hong Kong's public broadcasting laws, which were criticized as limiting public access to the airwaves. The station gained popularity by hosting phone-in talk shows featuring prominent opposition figures as guests and fostering a vibrant culture of political commentary. However, Bull, as Chiang is affectionately known, cited mounting challenges in the face of Beijing's increasing control, making it difficult for Citizens Radio to invite guests. In another concerning development, a new drug threat has emerged in America, adding to the ongoing opioid crisis. Known as the zombie drug, psilocybin is causing growing alarm across the nation.
And with xylazine, you just don't feel it. You just get knocked out for a couple of hours. You just sleep. Like anesthesia, kind of, I don't know.
This flesh-eating sedative, easily accessible online, is often combined with fentanyl, an opioid that is 50 times more potent than heroin.
The thinking is that xylazine has been added to the supply because it can extend the life of fentanyl. Fentanyl is a short-acting opioid, so people have to use more frequently, and that's a big complaint among the people that we hear is like they just have to use much more frequently than they would heroin.
The effects of this deadly combination are devastating, causing abscesses and skin ulcers by constricting blood vessels, which can ultimately result in the need for amputation.
A wound, it's very strange. Like eats up your flesh, like crocodile, similar.
A lot of times people say that they show up like little bruises or black marks, that people go for a really long time without getting care, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. Specifically with the xylazine ones, it just continues, the tissue in that area just continues to die until it reaches the bone, or they have to have an amputation.
Reports of psilocybin overdoses have been on the rise in recent years, exacerbating the drug crisis in the United States.
There's some ability to keep an eye on it, but it's actually difficult to track because it's not a controlled substance. And even if we found a big stash of it, you wouldn't be able to prosecute somebody for that. So it's difficult. It presents quite a few problems for us.
In today's other news, heavy rains wreaked havoc in Japan, claiming lives and triggering evacuations. Severe weather conditions across the country have led to one confirmed fatality and a reported missing person, while authorities have issued evacuation warnings for nearly 2 million residents. The nation's weather agency is concerned about the risk of landslides, flooding, and other disasters in multiple regions. Tragic incidents have been reported, including a man found dead inside a car swept away by a river in Yamaguchi Prefecture, and rescue efforts continue for a 70-year-old man whose home was destroyed by a landslide in western Oita Prefecture's Yufu. Non-compulsory evacuation orders have been issued for around 1,855,000 residents in 8 prefectures of western Japan. Climate scientists underline the link between climate change and the increased intensity of heavy rainfall events, as warmer temperatures allow the atmosphere to hold more water. A recently released internal report has highlighted critical shortcomings in the U.S. evacuation efforts from Afghanistan in 2021. The report, commissioned by Secretary of State Antony Blinken, revealed that a lack of clear decision-making, absence of centralized crisis management, and confusing public messaging hindered officials during the mass evacuations. It called for reforms, including the appointment of a single person in charge during future crises and the insulation of contingency planning from political considerations. While the report praised the ultimate success of evacuating 125,000 individuals, including 6,000 U.S. citizens, it emphasized the major challenge of unclear decisions regarding at-risk Afghans and the constantly changing policy guidance and public messaging from Washington. Secretary Blinken acknowledged the dedication of staff and promised to implement the report's recommendations for improvement. The report also highlighted the contrast in planning between the previous Trump administration, which had a relative lack of preparation, and the Biden administration, which faced unexpected speed of events. The report emphasized the need to insulate contingency planning from political concerns and to make evacuation plans routine to mitigate any negative impact. Catherine Russell, the executive director of UNICEF, has briefed reporters of her recent visit to Haiti, revealing the dire situation faced by the Haitian people. As the newly appointed principal advocate for Haiti, Russell emphasized the urgent need for increased support to help highly vulnerable children and families in the country. During her briefing, Russell highlighted the alarming challenges faced by the Haitian population, including widespread violence, devastating natural disasters, and the resurgence of cholera.
Upon my return to the country last week, it was with the knowledge that there are now even more Haitian people in need than ever before. Today, an estimated 5.2 million people, or close to half the entire population, require humanitarian assistance, and this includes nearly 3 million children. Critically, the institutions and services that children rely on are barely functional. Resources are in short supply, and violent armed groups control over 60% of Haiti's capital and large parts of the country's primary agricultural areas. And our team there tell me it's never been worse than it is now. Unprecedented hunger and malnutrition, grinding poverty, a crippled economy, resurgence of cholera, and a massive insecurity that creates a deadly downward spiral of violence. While, of course, flooding and earthquakes continue to remind us all just how vulnerable Haiti is to climate change and natural disasters.
Now, Ms. Russell concluded her briefing by urging immediate action to prevent further loss of life and ensure a decent future for the population of Haiti. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has issued a directive to bolster security at the border with Belarus in response to the recent influx of fighters from the mercenary group Wagner.
Розглянули ситуацію на півночі, зокрема на території Білорусі. Були доповіді нашої розвідки, ГУР, зовнішньої розвідки, розвідки прикордонників, доповідь керівника СБУ. Дуже уважно аналізуємо кожен факт і будь-які перспективи по всім напрямкам. Рішенням Ставки головкому Залужному та генералу Наєву доручено посилити північний напрямок, щоб гарантувати спокій. Є відповідні терміни виконання.
This development follows an attempted rebellion in Russia, which has raised concerns about potential spillover effects. The Wagner Group, known for its involvement in various conflicts, has gained attention due to its alleged ties to the Russian government. With reports of the aborted rebellion in Russia, the presence of these fighters at the Belarusian border has raised alarms and prompted President Zelensky to take swift action. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has extended an offer of refuge to Prigozhin following the conclusion of the armed rebellion in Russia that posed a significant challenge to President Putin's rule. President Lukashenko, who has been a staunch supporter of President Putin throughout the ongoing conflict with Ukraine, has allowed Russian troops to be stationed in Belarus. While his own forces have not directly participated in the conflict, Lukashenko has expressed that his army could benefit from the valuable combat experience of Wagner commanders. However, President Lukashenko also sought to downplay the extent of activities that the mercenaries will be authorized to undertake within Belarus. He emphasized that their presence in the country should not be perceived as a license for unrestricted operations. From a lack of donors and equipment to disruptions due to Honolulu's rail project, the nonprofit Blood Bank of Hawaii is once again facing old problems while supporting various communities, including a global church that had been a long-standing partner for years. Alfred Asenas has this report.
We encourage everyone out there to take a moment of your time, 1 hour of your time, to help save 3 lives.
After coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Blood Bank of Hawaii continues to resume normal operations, which includes dealing with some familiar challenges.
Well, first of all, the greatest challengers are donors. 50% of blood comes in through Lifesaver Club organizations such as Iglesia Ni Cristo. We used to have 4 buses, we're down to 3. We do have 2 brick and mortar locations. One is at Young Street, the other is at Dillingham. The Dillingham location, as the rail progresses through, is going to be vacated, and sooner or later we're going to be moving to our new location up in Kalailoa area. It's from new donors we can expect to collect all of the blood types and blood products that we need to help sustain life here in Hawaii.
Another challenge is the ongoing need for a special type of blood unique to this part of the world.
Here in Hawaii, we're very, very fortunate. It's the demographics. In line of that very unique blood type called the JK3 negative blood type, which is prevalent with the Polynesians, Finnish people. Here in Hawaii, we're the repository for the mainland. If they're looking for the JK3 blood type, they come and ask us. But we need more people to come out.
Finally, the nonprofit commends the Iglesia Ni Cristo or Church of Christ for being a long-standing partner, with hopes that other groups and communities can step up and do their part in sustaining Hawaii's overall blood supply.
Annually, the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church commits at least 200 pints to help support our summer needs. Here in Hawaii, we need at least 200 pints every day. The challenges occur every summer where more and more people are out on holidays, right? So we experience a drop in donorship. Every 2 seconds, there's a need of someone that's getting blood transfusions, right? And yet, only 2% of Hawaii's population actually donates. We're so dependent on donors. We'd like to ask everyone in the island of Hawaii to really recognize the support that Iglesia Ni Cristo Church have done for our community. We never know when it's our turn to need blood. And we're asking everyone to take a moment in your time to look at your loved ones, because at any point in time, ourselves or even our loved ones could need the blood to sustain their life.
Reporting from Eva Beach, Hawaii, I'm Alfred Asenas, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
And finally, we have an exciting space mission on the horizon. Europe's Euclid Space Telescope is all set to embark on a groundbreaking journey to unravel the mysteries of the universe. This mission aims to explore the enigmatic realms of dark energy and dark matter. The launch is scheduled for Saturday today from the renowned Cape Canaveral in Florida at precisely 11:11 a.m. local time or 15:11 GMT. The Falcon 9 rocket belonging to the U.S. company SpaceX will propel Euclid into space. It's worth noting that the European Space Agency had to seek the assistance of billionaire Elon Musk's rival firm after Russia's Soyuz rockets were withdrawn due to the ongoing situation in Ukraine. Following a month-long voyage through the cosmos, Euclid will rendezvous with its celestial companion, the James Webb Space Telescope.
For us, because this is the launch of our Euclid satellite. So Euclid is a mission which is going to really start to understand what is dark matter and dark energy. So that's about 95% of our universe is made of these dark materials, which is to understand. And so Euclid is one of these missions which is going to start to push the bounds so we start to understand what this is. But Euclid is unique in the sense that it's above the atmosphere. It can look in infrared. It's got a phenomenal optic system, so you get really crisp images of galaxies. And it'll do a survey of the order of 1.5 billion galaxies throughout our universe in three-dimensional space. So not only position, but also the distance. The main challenge we have is that we've got such a precise imaging and photometry of the system. We have to make sure that the telescope, when it's on orbit, is a telescope we think it's going to be. So it has to be very crisp images. So that's quite technically challenging. But then the big challenge we have is on the ground. So we're getting terabytes of data. At the end of the mission, we'll be having petabytes of data, tens of petabytes, so thousands of terabytes of data.
We don't know what the universe is made of. We don't know what the fundamental building blocks are of this universe as it stands today. It's a really fundamental embarrassment, frankly, that we don't know essentially what more than 90% of the universe is. We know a lot more about dark matter than we do about dark energy, but the fact that we don't really know if it's dark energy or whether we don't understand general relativity and gravity on the larger scales is a fundamental question.
As always, I'll end the day on a thoughtful note. Our ability to look back and smile at our past is proof that God's plan is to keep us moving forward. This has been Eagle News International. I'm Alma Angeles. Stay alert, stay informed, because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.